What's up, scholars? Happy Friday. Welcome to your last class of the week, your last Friday class of the year. And you guys have earned a break, a relaxing weekend after you do this assignment because you worked really hard this week and your work has been very high quality as demonstrated. Oh, no change. We're still 75%, which I'm cool with. But we did have, you guys made me do it. You forced me to go 3 columns on the grit list again. Thanks a lot, Julian, Lisbeth, Uriel, Edwin, and Esmer. You guys are making me work harder and reformat stuff. But seriously, good job. I'm glad to see these highlighted names. And I was glad to take I de-highlighted Ariana's name because she stayed on. I believe I de-highlighted Tamar's name because she stayed on here. So again, great work. I can't emphasize enough how proud of you guys I am for your excellence and your effort. Let's take a look at some of your excellent answers from yesterday. Take a second to pull up your work, as always, so that you can compare them to the ones I'm going to go over. Hey, my bad on number 1. The correct answer was C, but you probably didn't know that because I forgot to put by, which made you think like, wait, are you saying that the Wolverines killed Buck or what's up here? So that's on me. The answer was C. It was supposed to say 2 of the Wolverines were killed by Buck. That's why they could quarrel no more, because they dead. Number 2, you guys did a pretty good job on the multiple choice. He knew how to take advantage of every cover, to crawl in his belly like a snake, and like a snake to leap and strike. This showed that A, he knew how to become a predator when necessary. B was just silly. It was just too basic. He preferred to crawl on his stomach while hunting. That's not true. Sometimes he needs to, sometimes he doesn't need to. So B's just no. C, he did not run through the forest. That's not true because we've seen him running a lot. So we knew that C wasn't true. And D, he often took cover to hide from other predators. Buck doesn't hide from anybody. He killed a bear. So there was no evidence he hides from other predators. So A was your answer. Let's take a look at some of your responses. Uriel really focused on Buck's a killer now. He says the time away from Buck changes Buck because he's more wild and he's killing to survive, and that his animal instincts are really coming out and they're controlling him and taking hold. I loved Uriel quotes a little bit long here. It's really well selected, but it's just too long. So which of these parts did you want to keep the most? The blood longing became stronger than ever before, or that he was a killer and he prayed. So I would have picked one or the other. But yeah, Uriel really emphasizes that he's like a hunter now, like through and through, and his instincts allow him to be that. Esmer did a lot of evidence embedding, and even though this is supposed to be an ASAC response where you focus on one strong piece of evidence, Esmer still showed a really strong understanding of the story in her analysis, where she really focused on the change from the very beginning of the book, while he was just like an ordinary dog, an obedient dog, and now he's just wild and independent. And she said in the last sentence, he's showing that bloodlust that has overcome him. He wants to hunt and kill. Anthony focuses on the same thing in more of an ASAC style. He goes all the way back to Buck's life on Judge Miller's estate and how easy Buck had it. And then he fast forwards it to present day where where Buck's in the wild. He fished for salmon in a broad stream that emptied somewhere into the sea, and by this stream he killed a large black bear. So he came from a place where he got everything given to him and survived with someone to survive on his own. So the camp changed him from this first time he went trying not to get picked on to never getting picked on because he is a killing machine. Yeah, that's a good point, Anthony. If we remember when Buck first starts adapting to life among sled dogs, he doesn't mess with anybody. He really keeps to himself because he's not trying to get in fights. He just wants to just put his head down and survive. And now he's out here as the alpha not just the alpha sled dog, but he's like the alpha animal because he's killing everything, killing wolverines, killing a black bear. Today he's going to kill a moose, which is actually a kind of sad scene that I'm gonna walk you through in a second. So yeah, those are my three exam parts I wanted to focus on today. All right, I'm gonna read with you the today's section. Today's section is a hunt. Buck is going to take down a moose, and it's not a quick kill. In this yesterday's section, it just mentioned he killed a black bear and kind of left it at that. This is going to walk us through the whole process of how Buck does it because it takes a while, it takes days. And Buck does this very methodically, and he's patient, and he's cruel, and it just kind of shows you what a killing machine Buck has become. And that doesn't just mean wild and violent. It also shows like he's kind of cunning, very cunning. So we're going to walk through this scene today with the moose, and we're going to think deeply about why is London showing us this? What theme might he be getting across? I'm going to give you 4 different options, and you're going to pick the one that resonates most, not just with you from your own life experiences, but what you get from these pages. Okay? So Uriel, keep it about the stuff that happens in this book. Don't go off on a Martin Luther King civil rights tangent like you've been known to do. We're sticking to evidence from this book that feels most true to you based on what happened with Buck and this moose. All right, let's get into it. Today's page, we're reading pages 78 to 81. Let me get it pulled up myself. We're almost done, guys. We're going to finish this book on Monday. All right, here we go. At the very bottom of 78. As the fall of the year came on, the moose appeared. And remember, moose is one of those nouns like fish, where it's the same singular or plural. So in this case, it's plural, lots of moose. As the fall of the year came on, the moose appeared in greater abundance. Oh, by the way, guys, when I'm reading this with you, look at the words. Make sure you're following along with me because, this isn't radio hour. Read the words, have your eyes follow along with me. That way your brain and your eyes are doing the same work that you would be doing if you were reading on your own. It helps with your comprehension. It helps install words automatically into your brain as you read, but you have to be following along with me as we read, okay? As the fall of the year came on, the moose appeared in greater abundance, moving slowly down to meet the winter in the lower and less rigorous valleys. Buck had already dragged down a stray, part-grown calf, but he wished strongly for larger and more formidable quarry, and he came upon it one day on the divide at the head of the creek. A band of 20 moose had crossed over from the land of streams and timbers, and chief among them was a great bull. He was in a savage temper, and, standing over 6 feet from the ground, was as formidable an antagonist as Buck could desire. Back and forth the bull tossed his great palmated antlers, branching to 14 points and embracing 7 feet within the tips. His small eyes burned with a vicious and bitter light, while he roared with fury at sight of Buck. From the bull's side, just forward of the flank, protruded a feathered arrowhead, which accounted for his savageness. Guided by that instinct which came from the old hunting days of the primordial world, Buck proceeded to cut the bull out from the herd. So what this means, guys, he's going to isolate him. Cut him out from the herds means to isolate him from the other moose, right? Um, Obviously, that's the only way he's going to take it down. You can't take a dog can't take down a moose when he's among 20 other moose. He's got to get it by itself. So what I want you paying attention to is, what is Buck's strategy to take down the moose? What is he trying to accomplish? What's his goal here? What's his strategy? It was no slight task. I'm right here. He would bark and dance in front of the bull, just out of reach of the great antlers and the terrible splay of hooves which could have stamped his life out with a single blow. Unable to turn his back on the fanged danger and go on, the bull would be driven into paroxysms of rage. At such moments he charged Buck, who retreated craftily, luring him on by a simulated inability to escape. But when he had thus separated from his fellows, 2 or 3 of the younger bulls would charge back upon Buck and enable the wounded bull to rejoin the herd. There was a patience of the wild, dogged, tireless, persistent as life itself, that holds motionless for endless hours the spider in its web, the snake in its coils, the panther in its ambuscade. This patience belongs particularly to life when it hunts its living food, and it belonged to Buck as he clung to the flank of the herd, retarding its march, irritating the young bulls, worrying the cows with their half-grown calves, and driving the wounded bull mad with helpless rage. For half a day this continued. Buck multiplied himself, attacking from all sides, enveloping the herd in a whirlwind of menace, cutting out his victims as fast as it could rejoin its mates, wearing out the patience of the creatures preyed upon, which is a lesser patience than that of creatures prey. So Buck is bugging the crap out of this herd, particularly the bull moose. This is like the leader. It's like their alpha. He keeps bugging and bugging and bugging, come close, getting the big moose to charge him, and he fake runs away. And then other bulls come to charge at Buck so that the big one has time to get back to the herd. And this keeps going on and on and on and on. As the day wore along and the sun dropped to its bed in the northwest, the darkness had come back, and the fall night for 6 hours long. The young bulls retraced their steps more and more reluctantly to the aid of their beset leader. The downcoming winter was harrying them on to the lower levels, and it seemed they could never shake off this tireless creature that held them back. Besides, it was not the life of the herd or of the young bulls that was threatened. The life of only one member was demanded, which was a remoter interest than their lives, and in the end, they were content to pay the toll. Here's where it gets sad. So they're ditching him. All the herd's ditching the bull, the one that Buck's been targeting, because they're sick of this, and they're realizing like, hey, if we just leave dude, we're going to be left alone, and we can go about our ways. As twilight fell, the old bull stood with his lowered head, watching his mates, the cows he had known, the calves he had fathered, the bulls he had mastered, and as they shambled on at a rapid pace through the fading light, he could not follow, for before his nose leapt the merciless fanged terror that would not let him go. 300 weight more than half a ton he weighed, he had lived a long, strong life, full of fight and struggle. And at the end, he faced death at the teeth of a creature whose head did not reach beyond his great buckled knees. From then on, night and day, Buck never left his prey, never gave it a moment's rest, never permitted it to browse the leaves of trees or of the shoots of young birch and willow. Nor did he give the wounded bull opportunity to slake his burning thirst in the slender trickling streams they crossed. Often, in desperation, he burst into long stretches of flight. At such times, Buck did not attempt to stay him, but loped easily at his heels, satisfied with the way the game was played, lying down when the moose stood still, attacking him fiercely when he strove to eat or drink. The great head drooped more and more under its tree of horns, and the shambling trot grew weak and weaker. He took to standing for long periods with nose to the ground and dejected ears dropped limply, and Buck found more time in which to get water for himself, in which to rest. At such moments, panting his red, lolling tongue, with eyes fixed upon the big bull, it appeared to Buck that a change was coming over the face of things. He could feel a new stir in the land. As the moose were coming into the land, other kinds of life were coming in. Forest and stream and air seemed palpitant with their presence. The news of this was borne in upon him, not by sight or sound or smell, but by some other and subtler sense. He heard nothing, saw nothing, yet knew that the land was somehow different, that through it strange things were afoot and ranging, and he resolved to investigate after he had finished the business at hand. We're going to find out tomorrow what Buck senses, but we don't know right now, and this isn't pertinent to what's going on with the moose. Now we get back to the moose. At last, at the end of the fourth day, he pulled the great moose down. For a day and a night he remained by the kill, eating and sleeping, turn and turn about. Then, rested, refreshed and strong, he turned his face toward camp and John Thornton. He broke into an easy lope and went on, hour after hour, never at loss for the tangled way, heading straight home through the strange country with the certitude of direction that put man and his magnetic needle to shame. We'll stop there. Okay, you've got 2 comprehension questions to answer in which you can just embed some words from the text. What is Buck's strategy to take down the moose? And why did the other moose abandon the large moose on whom Buck was focusing? Here's your ASAC response. Which theme of the 4 that I list here, which theme is demonstrated by London's depiction of Buck's killing of the bull? What is he trying to teach us? Is he showing us, you might agree with all of these, but you got to pick which one rings most true to you and the one that you can prove with evidence from the text. Is he teaching us that nature is merciless, that patience pays off, that your loved ones will abandon you if you become a liability? A liability is something that holds you back from, it just weighs you down. Or that no matter how strong one once was, a humble death awaits. Pick which, these are your assertions I'm providing you. Which one can you argue? Which one can you prove? All right. Pick one of the 4. This is an ASAC response. So really focus your response around one really well selected piece of evidence. And how does the evidence you select prove that theme that you picked? Prove that in your analysis. I really want to see your thinking here. All right, guys. For the last time, I'm going to sign off on a Friday. Have a good weekend. Can't wait to see your thoughts, your thoughtful writing, and your take on the theme here. All right. See you guys Monday.